Alright everyone, it's time to pick up my first ever legitimate, well, insofar as such things can ever be called legitimate, Dark Brotherhood contract. But that's way up in Dawnstar, so first I have to travel the entire north-south length of Skyrim to get there. Gonna be a long, long walk, but luckily I've done part of that trip a few times before, so I can skip over the bit from, Riverwood to Whiterun at least. Still, long trek. Well, now that I'm away from any kind of immediate onlookers, let me change clothes. Be battle ready. I'm pretty confident I remember that this is the route where there is a bandit bridge. Oh, there it is, yeah. Bandits infesting that bridge along the road. Hjalti is used to their game by now. He's going to let them fight each other, determine their true numbers. There's probably some kind of booby trap laid out over the road, he's betting, so he's going to make another direction of approach, get it up to the same level as them, and kill them from there. Let's see how strong these bandits are. Just regular old bandits, it looks like. Oop, Fury has worn off, so they're both aiming at me now, but not terribly effectively. He just triggered his booby trap by mistake. Yeah, it just kind of drops rocks on the road, not a major threat. Hilarious. Well, Hjalti and I are both kind of inured to the day-to-day dangers of bandit... Oh, Frostwood Spider. And Frostwood Spiders. That place is at least, much quicker to clear out than Valtham Towers, but it doesn't have the fun quality that Valtham Towers has, at least the first couple of times. That place does get tiresome, though, when you had to clear it out every single time you walk down that road. Well, every single playthrough when you do that, and then once or twice thereafter as it respawns. So I love Valtham Towers as like an outdoor, fun, little, unusual dungeon the first few times I was playing, but at this point, it has kind of worn out its welcome. Let me consult my map here. I think it's a cross-country shortcut I can take. Not yet. Okay, it's another couple steps along. Who would this be? Well, they're hostile. It's a witch. We found a witch. May we burn her? No, we may not. She's a dark elf. Freeze the witch. Probably he's like hiding from like the summon or something like that over there. Did I? Wow. Force of that blast was higher than I thought. Frost Atronach fighting... Oh, some kind of Redguard adventurer is being ambushed by this witch and her Atronach. I'm going to stand close to it whenever I can to recharge my mana. He's apparently not hostile to me, so that's nice. He's right. Well, see what he thinks.
Like you doing out here.
Okay, so number one, you see my mask. Number two, you're a jerk.
Why?
Number three, your facial hair alone deserves death.
From you.
So, you do. Mutton chop beard there. Potion, huh? That's a one. Atronach, you're my melee guy. Okay. The afterburn got him, I guess. Iron ore. That reminds me. I guess while I'm in these relatively safe parts, I should do my transmutation spell to level up that alteration a little bit. So that town over there, I think, is actually Helgen, which is that ruined, now bandit-infested place. Is that... Oh, a fox, not a wolf. So take this small cross-country shortcut over this way, I think. Get back to the Riverwood area. Ah, there is a wolf here. Not bad shooting. back to that relatively safe area where I've traveled many times before, then just skip to the Whiterun outskirts from there, and then that'll cut off part of my journey at least. But it's still going to be a long way up to Dawnstar. There's Bleak Falls Barrow. Good old Bleak Falls Barrow. Alright, so better take off my mask now that I'm back in civilized parts. No, didn't have as much ore as I thought. So from here I'll skip out to the outskirts of Whiterun and travel north from there. So must avoid any bounty, which will dictate how I'm going to approach this quest. Once you have a bounty, it doesn't really make any sense in character the ways you can get rid of it, so I'm going to try to avoid getting one in the first place, so I can do good roleplaying, not bad roleplaying. What if I get experience while my back is turned to them?
God might.
Let me just check something here. Getting close. Does it count? It does, okay. Nice. So close to Alteration 50. And Illusion 50, for that matter. I'm further from that, but I'm moving up on toward it, that is. Both have some great perks available, so that's why I'm thinking about that. Outlying farms around here. I really do love this region of Skyrim. I like Skyrim's whole aesthetic, really, but just kind of this, bleak, yet still, interesting to look at, kind of autumn tundra with these distant, foggy mountains all the time. Beautiful, majestic kind of stuff. Even if, the next Elder Scrolls game is a better game than this one, it probably won't have the same kind of appeal to me. Ever since I first started playing Elder Scrolls games, this is kind of the one I was looking forward to. This province. So, anything else will just kind of be meh to me.
Stendar, you speak to a vigilant of Stendar. Cavort with any Daedra, and a mercy of Stendar does not extend.
As I've said before, they don't mind if you do things like conjure Daedra in front of them, wear Daedric weapons and whatnot. They have no idea. I've read people say that if you have a full suit of Daedric armor, they'll attack you, but I've never seen that happen. Here's that northeastern watchtower, guarding the border against Dawnstar, I guess, where the guards are often fighting random bandits. We'll see if that's happening this time or not. Doesn't look like it so far. Oh, wolf running around up there. Oh, yes they are. Okay, well, I'll come in here and help them. Certainly want it to be known that, the Dragonborn is a friend to law and order types, and definitely not the kind of guy who joined the Dark Brotherhood. Bandit outlaws all that's left. Don't want to hit the guard here. That's far more of a danger than any mere bandit could ever be, because that would make an outlaw across the entire province. Well, across the entire hold, that is. No gratitude. One time I got this perfectly timed hilarious response from one of them, I mostly deal with petty thievery and drunken brawls. Been too long since we had a good bandit raid, just after the last bandit died a second before. Random guard dialogue can have some great comedic moments from time to time when the stars align. There, of course, is the Lorius farm where we helped that Cicero fellow out. So even from here, it is a long way to Dawnstar. We've gone not even really, maybe half the distance, but some of that fast traveled. Some danger zones up ahead here, too. There, as I mentioned before, this is a Dawnstar guard, not a Whiterun one, so it's actually hostile to the Whiterun ones, if you lure him back there in any way, or like a dragon does, or anything like that. His level is typically fixed and very low, so they'll crush him. Anyway. So I have been on this road once before going the other direction. But not all the way. A giant over there. Harmless as long as you leave them alone. All kinds of different random encounters with them, too. In which they're pretty much always harmless. These stones are decorated by the giants. They paint stones and themselves and cows and even their mammoths from time to time. We don't really know much about them and their culture, which I kind of, I like. That they're mysterious, slightly primitive, and Not really all that known, but they're kind of caveman-like. I think that's a great addition to the setting. Ice Wraith. Man, do I hate these guys. As I mentioned, they're extremely dangerous. Will probably do about 3/4 of my hit points in one blow. Certainly will kill my Atronach pretty fast. They can't attack outside melees. They're not terribly interesting to fight. The other annoying thing about them, though, is their hitbox is terrible. It doesn't really match up to their shape at all. And they're very hard to hit because of the way they wobble around, as you can see. Whoa, Atronach. Let's watch it. I think the Mammoth is hostile to the, yeah. Well, that Ice Wraith is done for. Hilarious. Mammoths are not hostile to humans, but they are to, like, you know, dangerous wildlife. So they always drop those things. Yeah, trying to scare me off. And it'll work. I'm not going to try to fight one of those things right now. I mean, I could, over the long run, you know, kite one a great distance away and kill it, but not really worth the trouble at all. I think that rune over there is an important one of the early Civil War quests. So that's kind of the only place I know this area from, really. Other than that, it's not terribly important. Not that I have too much experience with the Civil War, actually. I've only done it successfully once, usually bugs. It looks like a deer, but could be a wolf. And friendly over there. Probably just a farmer going over to Windhelm to join the Stormcloaks.
The Empire is in shambles. They've banned the worship of Talos.
I mean, not very effectively, but I do take your point there, yes. That was a very bad move. So, I think this sign here will agree with me. This, yep, the way to Dawnstar. Good. I'm not 100% on that, or wasn't before I saw the sign, because I've almost never come this direction. Almost never gone to Dawnstar at all, either. It's a really, really unimportant town, despite lore saying it's quite an important trading port. That little monument mark over there is a shrine of Talos without any kind of actual Talos shrine or amulet there to make it useful, so terrible. And also, it's infested with guaranteed level independent ice wraiths, so it's horribly dangerous. Avoid it at all costs. Yeah, I'm just going to keep on moving. I'll have some other adventuring to do in this region. No, another one. In this region once I've finished off with this assassination, which is of course why I'm doing it here and now. I planned out what order to do all the quests in to try to make, you know, both role-playing sense and efficiency sense. Fortress over there. I think it's involved in the Civil War quest line. For now, it's just infested with bandits, so I'm simply going to turn on my illusion and give them a wide berth. I actually cast that, right? Yes, okay. No, somebody killed a mammoth. I'm not going to find out who that was. Just kind of creep along a far distance away. Need to kind of skirt this cliff, though. There's some hostiles there, alright. Should be muffled, so the sound of me passing shouldn't alert them, as long as they can't see me. Well, so if I go a far distance away, they shouldn't be able to see me very well. That is the hope, anyway. Well, as this long trek continues, maybe I should talk about some mechanics here. I've really avoided touching the subject of armor for a very long time, because it's an extremely complicated subject and requires a fair amount of math. And a lot of detail to it, so I'm going to save some of that for later. But for now, let me basically say that armor works like this. Essentially, you have an armor rating once you put on some armor. You can see right down there I currently have 0. If I put on Morokai, that counts as some armor. It'll give me 6 there. That is a lie. That number is relevant, but it's a lie. Because besides the listed armor value, which every piece of equipment has, and which is then further increased based upon your skill level and your perks, every single piece of armor, no matter how weak, and whether it's heavy or light, gives you a secret unlisted plus 25 points. Shields do count for that purpose, by the way, and this does not get impacted by your perks or your skill level. Now, that number is unfortunately meaningless, which is very, very bad game design. I think that game mechanics should always strive to be, open, elegant, and strategically relevant. And the armor numbers are really none of those things. The number tells you nothing. It's a weirdly complicated system with weird math implications that, further makes it more complex than it needs to be. And most importantly, it doesn't add any fun strategic choices, and in fact, it's part of the reason why heavy armor is a terrible, terrible idea, and basically unusable on a serious run. So taking away options there. Like most defenses in this game, I've talked about resistances before, it's percent-based. Every point of armor, rating that is, gives you a certain fixed percent of actual damage reduction against any kind of physical attack. It's 0.12% specifically, so 100 points of armor rating is 12% damage reduction. Now what this means is that the first 300 or so points of armor rating you can achieve are almost worthless, giving you only about 36% or so damage reduction, which is noticeable when you get up toward that high end, but not something that's going to save your character's life in a long fight. So, unless you can get your armor value above like 300 or so displayed value, 400 real, you really aren't getting any real benefit from having armor at all. And this is one reason that early in the game, heavy armor is a terrible, terrible choice. It looks like we have some Khajiit setting up shop around here. But I think I need to make a stealthier approach into town. I don't want to be seen going into or out of here, because I have an assassination to conduct after all. So my further discussion about armor's detailed mechanics will have to wait till next time. It is a long topic. Going to turn on muffle, to sneak in, and take as long to go over these mountains as I need to come around to the far side. I'm going to assume that in character, Hjalti was told in detail or asked about where this person actually lived in town. Dawnstar, as you can see, is kind of a port town there. That is her house. This is Nightcaller Temple up there. Creepy old place. It's a Daedric temple, secretly. Don't know how they kept the secret. It's pretty obvious, and it's right near town. But basically, there's a whole quest where it turns out the Daedra that used to worship there, Vermina, is causing nightmares in town. Which should be obvious to anybody who hears there's nightmares in town, because that could only really be caused by Vermina, because she is, like, the goddess of nightmares, and is pretty well known. But anyway, so nobody knew about that except for this one priest who used to be a secret worshipper of hers, and that's how that Daedric quest begins. Okay, so now, to scale this mountain undetected, and come down into Dawnstar without anybody having seen me enter. Just creeping over this mountain like a spider. Fortunately, one doesn't find frostbite spiders up in these places. Hjalti is going to nestle himself into a relatively secure from the wind spot and warm himself up and have something to eat. Steal himself before this assassination, too. A cold meal, but filling. Yeah, he feels like a heavy drink before he goes to risk his reputation and life. So, gonna wait a couple of hours there for it to be dark. Then continue creeping down. Let me put on my Dark Brotherhood shoes, too. Those shouldn't be recognizable. That's stupid. I'm stuck in this little spot. Okay. Just had to fix that with the console. So, I will spend no time in Dawnstar and rely upon the tried and true method of just... I wasn't really detected there, just gonna flash the eye. Tried and true method of just attacking the target really fast, killing her, and getting out for my cover. And nobody knowing who I am, because I'm going to be wearing my Dark Brotherhood hood and hand wraps, and everybody knows the Dark Brother has a wizard in them, because Festus is not a terribly sneaky fellow. Now I'm going to kill her in a way that only really makes sense out of character with game mechanics knowledge, because there's no way for me to actually sneak up and kill her in one shot and get away with it, because of legendary difficulty making her absurdly tough. So what I'm about to do makes more sense out of character than in, but there's no good in-character way I can get away with it. They can see a shadowy figure entering the house, but that's fine because I'll be out of there in about 10 seconds, so they can't stop me.
I'm really not in the mood.
Certain they can't identify me in
Well,
character.
We'll see about that now, won't we? Here we go.
So if she attacks me first, it does not count as a crime for me to then murder her. Which is good, because otherwise, the slightest noise in here, the guards immediately know what's up, and they come in here. Wow, her pot nearly killed me there. Faithful ally. So, I kill her and I just rush on out of town before the guards can stop me, but of course, as I said, it's not actually a crime, so they won't even be trying it, because it doesn't count as a crime if you provoke her to attacking you first. Silly, but it's the way it works. So, it's the only way I can get away with it, because I cannot, on Legendary mode, have any hope of actually just killing her. Yeah, quickly enough for her to not report it. And if I became a criminal, it would cause all kinds of hassle. Yeah, so there's another Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary here. That's kind of a spoiler, don't you think? It really should not be visible on the map, or this close to town, but it is. And I don't know the answer in character yet, so I can't get in here. They only give you 3 joke answers. That's a pretty good one. You should have gone with the one where you hold up 2 cards and pretend it's just one, and then you... whatever. Hjalti is a powerful and cunning wizard, but not much of a magician. So, I'm now going to... wow, never really went here before. No idea what's in here. Weird. Some abandoned little hut. Right, well, my next objective is to move on with the vampire questline, so it's a trek back down this way. So, we need to go back past Dawnstar and or Nightcaller Temple again. Climbing over the mountains. Hjalti is tired and freezing, but he's more afraid of being caught for murder than he is of the elements out here. He can presumably warm himself with his fire and whatnot. I'm going to go with that at least. Make my way back toward the Imperial camp here, perhaps. This is a Stormcloak hold, so it therefore has an Imperial camp. Absurdly close to town. Outskirts of Nightcaller Temple. I won't be doing the Daedric quest because in character I have no reason to really uncover it. Let me change clothes back to my more practical things out here. Mage's boots. Morokai. Maybe recharging. Gloves don't really matter, I'll just take those off because they're incriminating. Oh, this lighthouse, I think I've mentioned before. It's Frostflow Lighthouse, I believe, and if you go through there and do this quest there, you can get a permanent bonus to your restoration power from then on, but it's not really worth it. Wow, that's a lot of people. And animals. Awesome.
Legion's always looking for strong, capable
Can I
warriors.
buy and sell things with you
Got
yet?
what it takes. Our headquarters are in Solitude. Here's what I can spare.
There we go. I'm not going to bother with my amulet of haggling. Ooh, that is substantial. I might just take those. Useless. I'm really hoping for more of like a 40%, but I'll take what I can get because I haven't had the best luck. I'm going to assume in character remember to take the mask off.
Enough with the Legion.
I know it's what everyone says. Damn
Generic
stupid places
dialogue
to see
here.
the world. But it's true in my
I'm going to see if I can find a bed that I'm allowed to stay. Oh, these are the injured people. Doesn't actually help them. Hjalti, of course, always has compassion for helpless people like these wounded men. But for that matter, he also kind of sees his father in them, who probably was left like this after the Battle of the Red Ring and simply didn't get help. Well, he will simply hide out there for the night. Get some rest, eat in the morning. The Legion, after all, will not be allied with Dawnstar, so him being a wanted man there, not that he is, would not necessarily lead them to turn him in. He feels very guilty about having murdered this unfortunate woman who was just trying to make her way, but it had to be done to advance his status in that organization, and that ultimately matters more to him than anybody else. Which is the best way? Southwest, huh? Alright. Crossing mountains for time efficiency rather than in character reasons at this point. With my new frost-resistant boots, I'm going to assume that it's just not that uncomfortable anymore anyway. So, Dawnguard questions what I'll be working on next time, but on the way back there I can now talk about armor in a little bit more detail. So what I was saying was that every point of armor rating adds a static percentage to your actual damage blocking, which, unlike in previous Elder Scrolls games, is for some reason not reported to you anywhere. So that's a stupid, terrible game design decision there.
They also don't report to you or indicate in any way, shape, or form that the armor maximum is 80% damage reduction, achieved at a true rating of 667, or displayed rating if you're wearing 4 pieces of armor and no shield of 567. The game will let you happily stack up armor into the thousands, thinking that it's helping you when in fact it's doing absolutely nothing. Failing to report basic important information to the player is really just not good design.
Hunters, perhaps? Maybe I'll join them over here.
I've been hunting and fishing in these parts for years.
Perhaps have some breakfast with them. Let's see. Beef, bread, apple pie. Having Nord mead? Yep, Nord mead. Salmon steak. Alright, feeling good to go. So the percentage that you actually need to know is not shown to you. Instead, this useless armor rating is shown to you. And it's not even a true armor rating because, as I said, large secret bonuses go into it from just wearing armor.
Until you have both quite a few perks and high-quality armor, this initial flat secret bonus completely swamps all the bonuses that you're getting from your heavy versus light armor and armor quality. But that doesn't really matter, because up until displayed rating of at least 200 or so, you're getting almost no protection anyway. And this is the reason why all those armor spells, like Iron Flesh and whatever, are complete garbage for mage characters. Useful for late-game warriors, though.
Because even the best one, Ebony Flesh, adds like 100 points to your armor rating, which is like the same thing as wearing just basic, like, fur armor. That's all you get for Ebony Flesh. And it's also a trap, therefore. Oh, there's the Burning Hall of the Vigilant. We'll go up there and investigate that, now that it's burned. It's therefore a trap to get that mage armor perk that a lot of people believe in, that doubles and eventually triples your alteration armor bonuses as long as you aren't wearing actual armor. You can get much more actual armor rating from simply wearing even like the worst sets of armor, stacking Ebony Flesh on top of that. That's the only time when it's actually useful, to push your armor rating beyond the worthless low levels to the good high levels. These guys have some good equipment, and I may need some of that because it seems like there's vampires at work here. Deathhounds. They really did a good job despite being portrayed as being quite helpless, having, killed so many vampires who came in apparently such great force. No immediate sign of what the vampires were after here. Ah, that book reveals the location of a very interesting, pretty fun quest actually. But I won't be doing that in this character. I'll just talk about it at some point. Information about werewolves too. Very well equipped. But as Hjalti pores over this, he can't find a darn thing indicating why the vampires went here. So, time to pick up their trail and investigate that old cave that apparently one of the Vigilants at least thought was important. The trail for that should pick up... There we go, that marker marks it. It also marks the way to the Lord's Stone, which, as I mentioned before, is the only other good standing stone in all of Skyrim besides the Atronach Stone. For this kind of, any kind of mage character, you should stick with the Atronach Stone forever and never consider anything else. But for a warrior character, you should start off with the Atronach Stone, then switch to the Lord's Stone once your magic resistance total from all your other sources hits about 50% or so. At that point, you'll get equivalent protection from the Lord's Stone, while also getting a small bonus to your armor rating. And as I've mentioned, with all this armor discussion, the first 300 points of armor are worthless. Once you get up to 200, 300 or so, from there, every bonus you can get stacking on top adds a huge amount of protection. Well, dealing with vampires here, so detect life would be of no use. Let me hotkey that to 2, and let me hotkey turn undead perhaps to what would be a good spot for that. I'll think about that one. It is kind of a situational spell. But this lengthy dungeon will be the subject of the next episode. So tune in next time for Dim Hollow Crypt.
Have a great day, everyone.